Dr. Samira Patel stared at the quantum readings flickering across her holographic display, her dark eyes reflecting the blue glow of the numbers that shouldn't exist. The consciousness mapping experiment had worked too well. Instead of simply measuring neural patterns, she had detected something else. Patterns that suggested consciousness existed in a quantum state bridging dimensions she hadn't even known existed. Marcus, are you seeing this? She called to her research partner, Dr. Marcus Rivera, who was hunched over his own terminal across the lab. If you mean the impossible numbers that suggest we've just rewritten everything we know about consciousness, then yes, Marcus replied, running a hand through his salt and pepper hair. Samira, we need to run it again. But before they could reset the equipment, the air in the laboratory began to shimmer. At first, Samira thought it was a malfunction in the quantum field generators, but the shimmer coalesced into something else entirely, a tear in reality itself. Two beings stepped through, as different from each other as they were from humans. The first was tall and crystalline, its body composed of interconnected geometric shapes that caught and reflected light in mesmerizing patterns. The second was shorter, organic but alien, with iridescent skin that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. Dr. Samira Patel, the crystalline being spoke, its voice resonating like wind through crystal chimes. I am Ambassador Lysith of the Nexarian Collective. Your work has drawn our attention. The organic being stepped forward, moving with fluid grace. And I am Envoy Thora of the Meridian Confluence. We have been watching your research with great interest. Samira's scientific mind warred with her instinct to run, but curiosity won out. It always did. How do you know my name? How are you even here? Your consciousness research, Lysith explained, geometric patterns shifting across their crystalline form. It has implications you cannot yet comprehend. You've discovered the fundamental bridge between mind and reality. A bridge our peoples have sought for millennia, Thora added, their skin pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that seem to match their speech. But you've approached it from an angle we never considered. Marcus had moved to stand beside Samira, his presence reassuring. You're saying our quantum consciousness research has implications beyond Earth. Far beyond, Lysith confirmed. Your species possesses a unique understanding of consciousness, one that could revolutionize how we interact with reality itself. Thora moved closer, their movements almost hypnotic. We've come to offer you an opportunity, Dr. Patel, to work with us to explore the true nature of consciousness across species. But Samira sensed tension between the two aliens. The way they positioned themselves, how they spoke, there was an underlying current of competition. Why both of you? Why now? Because Lysith's crystalline form sparkled with what might have been amusement, we are not allies. The Nexarian Collective and Meridian Confluence have different approaches to understanding consciousness. Your research could benefit either of our civilizations, exclusively. We're not interested in exclusive arrangements, Marcus interjected, but Samira raised a hand to quiet him. You're saying my research could be weaponized, she asked, her mind racing through the implications. All knowledge can be weaponized, Thora acknowledged, their bioluminescence dimming slightly. But it can also heal, unite, transcend. We offer you the chance to explore consciousness on a scale you never imagined. Samira looked around her lab, the culmination of 15 years of work, but now it felt small, limited. And if I refuse? Others will come, Lysith stated simply. Your discovery cannot be hidden. Already, other species have detected the quantum ripples from your experiments. We are merely the first to reach you. The weight of the situation settled over Samira. Her research had just catapulted humanity onto an interstellar stage they weren't prepared for. But maybe that's exactly why she needed to engage to ensure humanity had a voice in whatever came next. I'll work with you both, she declared, ignoring Marcus's sharp intake of breath. But on equal terms, my research remains open to both your species and to humanity, no exclusives. The aliens exchanged looks that somehow conveyed volumes despite their alien features. Finally, Thora spoke. Agreed, but with conditions. You will need to divide your time between our peoples, and there are protocols to be observed. Your safety cannot be guaranteed if you refuse, Lysith added, their crystalline form casting prismatic patterns across the lab walls. Other species may not ask so politely. Samira felt the weight of not just her own future but potentially humanity's resting on her decision. Marcus, I need you to coordinate things here on Earth. Keep the research going, but be careful. I'll find a way to stay in touch. Her colleague nodded, though she could see the worry in his eyes. Just remember who you are, Samira. Don't let them change you. As preparations began for her departure, Samira couldn't shake the feeling that she was missing something crucial. The way Lysith and Thora watched her, the careful distance they maintained from each other, there was more at stake than just consciousness research. She was right. Within weeks, she would discover that her quantum consciousness theories hadn't just found a way to measure awareness. They had uncovered the key to manipulating reality itself. And both the Nexarians and Meridians had plans for that power that went far beyond scientific curiosity. But for now, as she prepared to step through the portal that would take her to the Nexarian homeworld first, Samira could only hope she had made the right choice. The shimmer of dimensional transit enveloped her, and the last thing she saw was Marcus's concerned face before Earth disappeared, replaced by a world of crystal spires reaching toward alien stars. Her journey as the quantum diplomat had begun, and with it, a chain of events that would reshape the understanding of consciousness across three civilizations, if she could prevent them from destroying each other first. The Nexarian research facility stretched before Samira like a forest of living crystal, each spire humming with quantum energies she could almost taste. After 3 months among these geometric beings, she still found herself awestruck by their architecture and unsettled by their intentions. Your theta wave patterns show remarkable adaptability, Dr. Patel, Ambassador Lysith observed, their crystalline form refracting morning light into rainbow patterns across the laboratory floor. You've adjusted to our quantum harmonics faster than predicted. Samira adjusted the neural interface wrapped around her temples, a delicate lattice of crystal and light that allowed her to interact directly with Nexarian technology. The harmonics are fascinating, but I'm more interested in why they affect human consciousness differently than Nexarian or Meridian minds. Perhaps because your species still dreams, came a familiar voice. Samira turned to see Envoy Thora entering the chamber, their bioluminescent patterns shifting with barely contained emotion. Despite the diplomatic protocols, the Meridian representative had insisted on being present for key experiments on both worlds. Lysith's crystalline form vibrated with what Samira had learned was irritation. You're early for the transition, Envoy. The confluence has concerns about the direction of these experiments, Thora replied, moving closer to Samira, especially given recent developments in the Outer Rim. Samira caught the underlying tension. What developments? Neither alien answered immediately, but Samira had learned to read their subtle cues. Lysith's geometric patterns had shifted to defensive formations, while Thora's bioluminescence pulsed in warning patterns. Dr. Patel, Lysith finally spoke, your work has proven that consciousness can influence quantum states across vast distances. This has military implications. Both our peoples have detected unusual quantum signatures near the Perseus arm, Thora added. Signatures that match your consciousness mapping experiments. Samira felt her stomach drop. Other species are trying to replicate my research. Without the ethical constraints you insist upon, Lysith confirmed. The Nexarian Collective believes a more aggressive approach to development is needed. While the Meridian Confluence advocates for complete cessation of all consciousness manipulation research, Thora countered, their skin flashing with passionate colors. Samira removed the neural interface, her mind racing. You're both wrong. This isn't about weapons or restrictions, it's about understanding something fundamental about existence itself. She accessed the quantum terminal, pulling up her latest results. Look at these patterns. Human consciousness doesn't just interact with quantum states, it resonates with them. And that resonance creates echoes that both your species can detect. We are aware of the phenomenon, Lysith stated. It's why we sought you out. But you're missing the point, Samira insisted. These echoes, they're not just data, they carry emotional imprints. When I connect to your quantum networks, I'm not just sending information, I'm sending feelings, memories, pieces of my human experience. Thora moved closer to the display, their bioluminescence synchronizing with the data patterns. This is why human connections feel different. Your consciousness carries what we lost long ago. Lost? Samira asked. Lysith's form shifted uncomfortably. Both our species evolved beyond certain inefficiencies. The Nexarians pursued crystalline perfection, shedding organic limitations. The Meridians enhanced their biological capabilities but sacrificed emotional depth for collective harmony. And now you're both realizing those weren't inefficiencies at all, Samira concluded. They were essential parts of consciousness itself. She thought of Marcus back on Earth, wondering if he detected the same patterns in their ongoing research. Her weekly quantum communications with him had been growing increasingly concerned as he reported strange energy signatures appearing around their planet. There's something else, Thora said, their patterns showing distress. The quantum echoes from your consciousness, they're changing us. Many Meridians have reported experiencing human-like emotions after prolonged exposure to your research data. The Nexarian Collective has observed similar anomalies, Lysith admitted. Our quantum matrices have begun forming new patterns, more organic configurations. Samira felt a chill run down her spine. You're saying exposure to human consciousness is causing your species to evolve. Or revert, Thora suggested. Perhaps we're remembering what we once were. Before Samira could respond, the quantum terminal erupted with alerts. Data streamed across the crystal displays, showing massive disturbances in the quantum field. Multiple signatures detected, Lysith announced, their form rigid with alarm. Unknown species approaching both Nexarian and Meridian space. They're using consciousness-enhanced quantum drives. Thora's bioluminescence paled. They've weaponized the research already. Samira grabbed the neural interface, re-establishing her connection to the quantum network. No, this is different. These signatures, they're like echoes of echoes. Whatever's coming isn't just using consciousness, they're being drawn to it, to us. To this connection we're forming. She sent an urgent quantum pulse to Earth, hoping Marcus would receive her warning. Because she had finally understood what her research had really discovered. Consciousness wasn't just a bridge between dimensions, it was a beacon. And they had just attracted the attention of something vast and ancient that had been waiting in the depths of space for precisely this moment. As alarms blared through the crystal spires and Meridian ships appeared in the sky above, Samira realized that the real challenge wasn't in preventing a war between the Nexarians and Meridians. It was in preparing them, preparing all of them, for what was about to emerge from the darkness between stars. The quantum diplomat was about to become something else entirely, a bridge between not just worlds but between what was and what could be. And somewhere in the space between thoughts and stars, ancient minds were stirring, drawn to the echoes of a consciousness they had not encountered in eons. Dr. Marcus Rivera hadn't slept in 3 days. The quantum signals from Earth's orbit had grown stronger, and Samira's last warning still echoed in his mind. Something was coming, something that had been waiting in the dark spaces between galaxies, drawn by their consciousness research like moths to flame. Run it again, he told his assistant, Dr. Olivia Jensen, as they monitored the enhanced quantum detectors they'd built after Samira's departure. The laboratory hummed with energy, new equipment hastily installed by both Nexarian and Meridian technicians who now worked alongside the human scientists. Marcus, Olivia said, her voice tense, the patterns are changing, look at this frequency analysis. The holographic display showed consciousness waves unlike anything they'd recorded before, vast, ancient patterns that made human thoughts look like ripples in an ocean of awareness. But beneath those patterns, Marcus noticed something familiar. These subsignatures, he muttered, they match Samira's. Before he could analyze further, the quantum communicator pulsed with an incoming transmission. Samira's face materialized in the holographic field, her features strained but determined. Marcus, are you seeing them? She asked without preamble. The consciousness waves, they're impossible to miss. What's happening out there, Samira? The Nexarians and Meridians are mobilizing their fleets. Whatever's approaching, it's affecting both species in ways they can't explain. Lysith's crystalline matrix is developing organic patterns and Thora's people. She paused, glancing over her shoulder. The Meridians are experiencing emotional awakening on a massive scale. It's like their collective consciousness is being rewritten. Marcus shared his own findings, showing her the data from Earth's orbit. These patterns suggest a level of consciousness far beyond anything we've encountered. But there's something else. Look at how they interact with human brainwaves. Samira's eyes widened as she studied the analysis. They're not just similar, they're complementary. Marcus, I don't think these entities are hostile. I think they're trying to communicate. Communication through consciousness itself, Marcus mused. But why now, why us? Because humans never lost it, came Thora's voice as the Meridian envoy appeared beside Samira in the transmission. Their bioluminescent patterns were more vibrant than ever, pulsing with new emotional depths. Your species maintained the balance between logic and emotion, between individual awareness and collective understanding. You are the bridge we've been seeking. Ambassador Lysith's crystalline form materialized next, their usually rigid geometry showing subtle organic curves. The Nexarian collective has concluded that our evolution toward pure logic was incomplete. These ancient entities appear to be the original masters of consciousness manipulation. Perhaps they are the source of all sentient thought. Marcus watched as Samira placed one hand on Thora's shoulder and the other near Lysith's crystalline surface. The quantum readings spiked at the contact, consciousness waves harmonizing across species. We need to prepare Earth, Marcus said, feeling the weight of what was coming. If these entities are as powerful as the readings suggest. They're already here, Samira interrupted, her voice filled with wonder and fear. Not physically, but their consciousness is reaching across space, touching minds, awakening memories of what all sentient species once were. The laboratory's instruments suddenly blazed with activity. Outside, the night sky lit up with aurora-like patterns, but instead of just light, they carried images, emotions, memories that didn't belong to any living species. The bridge protocol, Samira said urgently. The one we theorized but never implemented, we need to do it now. Marcus understood immediately. The bridge protocol was their most ambitious experiment, an attempt to create a consciousness network linking multiple species in a shared quantum field. They had never attempted it because the energy requirements were astronomical. The Nexarian collective will provide the quantum infrastructure, Lysith declared, their form humming with newfound purpose. And the meridian confluence will contribute our biological interfaces, Thora added, their patterns synchronizing with Lysith's resonance in a way that would have been impossible months ago. Marcus began the initialization sequence, watching as quantum fields around Earth shifted and aligned. Across the planet, humans reported strange dreams, sudden insights, and a growing sense of connection to something vast and ancient. Samira, he called through the quantum link, if we do this, there's no going back. We'll be changing the very nature of consciousness for 3 species. 4, she corrected, her eyes distant as if seeing something beyond normal space. The ancient ones, they're not just observing, they're waiting to join the bridge. As the quantum fields reached critical alignment, Marcus saw something that defied explanation. The consciousness waves from space weren't just patterns of thought, they were memories of the universe itself, passed down through eons of evolution. And in those memories, he saw why they had been chosen. Humans, with their chaotic blend of logic and emotion, individual and collective awareness, were not just a bridge between the Nexarians and Meridians. They were a bridge to what consciousness once was, and what it could be again. The bridge protocol activated, and across 3 worlds, and one ancient consciousness that spanned the stars, barriers began to fall. Not with violence or conquest, but with understanding. As the quantum networks merged, and consciousness began to flow between species, Marcus realized that Samira's original research had never been about measuring awareness. It had been about remembering what every sentient species had forgotten, that consciousness itself was the first and greatest bridge between all living things. And somewhere in the quantum fields that now connected 4 different forms of consciousness, Samira's presence shone like a beacon, guiding them all toward a future none of them could have imagined alone. The bridge protocol had changed everything, but not in the way anyone expected. As Samira stood in the quantum nexus chamber, watching consciousness waves ripple across 3 civilizations, she realized they had awakened something that couldn't be controlled, only understood. The ancient patterns are intensifying, Thora reported, their bioluminescence now showing colors Samira had never seen before. Our collective consciousness is remembering. Lysith's crystalline form had developed organic-looking veins that pulsed with light. The Nexarian archives are being flooded with data we cannot process, memories that don't belong to our species. Through the quantum link, Marcus's voice carried tension. Earth's electromagnetic field is changing. The ancient consciousness isn't just communicating, it's reshaping reality at the quantum level. Samira felt it too. Every time she connected to the quantum network, she caught glimpses of histories that spanned millions of years. A time when all conscious species shared a common understanding, before fear and the drive for perfection led them down different evolutionary paths. We need to shut it down, Marcus urged. The power readings are off the scale. But Samira knew it was too late. We can't stop it. This isn't an invasion or an experiment anymore, it's a restoration. The chamber's walls suddenly crystallized with images, not projected, but grown from the quantum field itself. They showed civilizations rising and falling across galaxies, consciousness evolving and fracturing, and always the ancient ones watching, waiting for the right moment to bridge the gaps. They're not separate entities, Samira realized, her mind racing with understanding. The ancient consciousness, it's us, all of us, what we used to be before we divided ourselves. Thora moved closer, their form now emanating waves of pure emotion. The meridian confluence is experiencing dreams we haven't dreamed in 10,000 generations. The Nexarian collective reports similar anomalies, Lysith added. Our quantum matrices are accessing emotional states we thought long extinct. Through the quantum link, Marcus shared urgent data. The consciousness waves are forming a pattern, not random signals but a blueprint, a map of how consciousness was meant to work. But with revelation came danger. The sudden flood of recovered memories and emotions threatened to overwhelm all three species. Across Earth, humans reported intense shared visions. Nexarian crystal cities began growing in organic patterns, while Meridian collective consciousness fragmented into billions of individual dreams. If we don't find balance, Samira warned, the shock will destroy us all. That's when she noticed something in the quantum field, a resonance pattern that matched her original research. The same pattern that had attracted both the Nexarians and Meridians to Earth. Marcus, she called through the link, remember why we started this research. We weren't trying to map consciousness, we were trying to understand its role in reality itself. The quantum bridge experiment, he responded, understanding dawning in his voice. You're saying. We need to invert it, Samira finished. Not build a bridge between separate forms of consciousness, but remind each species of the consciousness we all once shared. Working together across quantum space, Samira and Marcus began recalibrating the bridge protocol. Thora provided access to the full emotional spectrum of the Meridian collective, while Lysith contributed the precise quantum harmonics of the Nexarian matrix. As they worked, the ancient consciousness responded. The chaos of overwhelming memories began to organize itself into something new, a shared understanding that preserved the unique evolution of each species while restoring their lost connection. Something's happening, Marcus reported as the quantum fields shifted. The consciousness waves, they're synchronizing. Samira felt it too, a harmony of thought and emotion that transcended species. Not a merging of minds, but a remembrance of how consciousness was meant to flow between all living things. The quantum nexus chamber filled with light as reality itself seemed to hold its breath. In that moment of perfect balance, Samira understood what they had really discovered. Not just the bridge between species, but the path back to what consciousness had always been meant to be. As the light faded, she looked at her alien companions and saw them truly for the first time, not as separate species, but as different expressions of the same cosmic awareness. The equilibrium had shattered, but from its fragments something far more precious had emerged: understanding. The way forward was clear now, but it would require all of them to face the final truth about consciousness itself. And that truth waited in the symphony of minds that would determine not just their future, but the future of consciousness throughout the universe. In the aftermath of the quantum revelation, three civilizations faced a choice that would reshape the very nature of consciousness itself. The laboratory where it had all begun now hummed with harmonized energy as Samira, Marcus, Thora, and Lysith gathered for what they all knew would be their final experiment. The ancient consciousness isn't just showing us the past, Samira explained, her hands moving through the quantum holographic display. It's showing us the potential future, what consciousness can become when we stop trying to perfect it and start trying to complete it. Marcus nodded, his eyes reflecting the shifting patterns. The quantum readings confirm it. Each species developed a different aspect of consciousness, thinking they were moving toward perfection. When we were actually moving apart from our true nature, Thora finished, their bioluminescence now a subtle symphony of emotions that would have been impossible months ago. Lysith's crystalline form had evolved into something extraordinary, a perfect blend of geometric precision and organic flow. The Nexarian collective has analyzed the ancient data. Our pursuit of pure logic wasn't evolution, it was isolation. Around them, the quantum field rippled with potential. Through their shared connection, they could feel the attention of billions, humans, Nexarians, and Meridians, all watching, waiting, wondering what would come next. Show them, Samira said softly, initiating the final sequence of the bridge protocol. The quantum network blazed to life, but this time it didn't just connect their species, it reminded them. Across three worlds, consciousness expanded not outward, but inward, touching memories buried in the very structure of reality itself. They saw the truth. Consciousness wasn't meant to be divided into logical and emotional, individual and collective. It was meant to be a symphony, each aspect strengthening the others, each species contributing its unique voice to a greater whole. The ancient ones, Thora whispered, they weren't waiting to teach us. They were waiting for us to remember. Through the quantum link, they felt the change rippling across their civilizations. Humans began experiencing deeper connections while maintaining their individuality. Nexarians discovered that logic could coexist with emotion, their crystalline cities blooming with new forms that married precision with passion. Meridians found that their collective consciousness could encompass individual dreams without losing harmony. It's not changing us, Marcus realized, watching the data stream across his displays. It's completing us. Samira stepped into the center of the quantum field, her consciousness reaching out to touch the ancient awareness that had guided them here. In that touch, she understood the final piece. Why her research had been the key, why humanity had drawn the attention of both the Nexarians and Meridians. We never lost it, she said, her voice carrying across quantum space to all who were connected. Humans never stopped trying to bridge the gap between logic and emotion, between individual and collective thought. We never achieved perfection in either direction because we were meant to remain in balance. The quantum field surrounding them began to pulse with new energy, not the separate consciousness waves of different species, but a harmonized symphony of awareness that preserved every unique voice while creating something greater than its parts. Lysith's form resonated with the change. The Nexarian collective accepts this truth: we choose completion over perfection. The Meridian confluence joins in harmony, Thora added, their bioluminescence synchronized with the quantum pulses. Not to lose ourselves, but to find ourselves in the greater whole. Marcus stepped forward, representing humanity in this moment of transformation. Earth stands ready, not as a bridge between species, but as a reminder of what we all once were and can be again. The ancient consciousness responded, not with words or thoughts, but with understanding that flowed through all of them. The quantum network transformed, becoming not just a connection between species, but a reminder of the cosmic consciousness they all shared. Samira felt tears in her eyes as she watched the change ripple across reality itself. Her original research into quantum consciousness had never been about discovering something new. It had been about remembering something ancient and essential. The symphony begins, she said softly, as the quantum field stabilized into its new configuration. Not an ending, but a restoration. Around them, three civilizations took their first steps into a future where consciousness flowed freely between all sentient beings, each maintaining their unique identity while sharing in a greater understanding. The ancient ones, their work complete, became not distant observers but part of the symphony itself, the memory of what had been and the promise of what could be. In the quantum nexus chamber where it had all begun, Samira looked at her companions, human, Nexarian, and Meridian, and saw not separate species but different notes in the same eternal song. The quantum diplomat had completed her mission, not by building bridges between worlds, but by helping all of them remember that such bridges had never truly been needed. They had always been one consciousness, expressing itself in infinite ways across the cosmos. And now, at last, the symphony could begin again.